and welcome back to my channel. If you guys are new here, hi, my name is Victoria. I make videos about fashion, beauty, travel, and just my life in general and some vlogs every once in a while. But today we are going to be chatting a little bit about the comparison between my Goyard and my LV Neverfull. So let's just jump right into the video. I recently did an unboxing of everything that I bought while I was in Italy for my honeymoon. All of those videos as a vlog will be up soon. Don't worry, I just haven't gotten around to editing all of it. It's just taking a lot of time with a newborn, guys. If you have a kid, you know how hard it is. But I got a couple of requests on Instagram and on YouTube to do a review between how the Goyard St. Louis GM compares to my Louis Vuitton Neverfull MM. So we're gonna do a little bit of a comparison today, and I'm gonna tell you the pros and cons of both. So to preface, as you guys can obviously tell, these are two completely very different sizes. My Louis Vuitton is an MM and the Goyard is a GM. Size-wise, I can't really say much about that, but I'm gonna compare overall logistics and like everyday use of the two bags. So first off, we're gonna talk about price. I bought my Louis Vuitton Neverfull probably back in like 2009, 2010. It's been a really long time now, I think. And when I first purchased this bag, I paid about $1,100 Canadian after tax, and we pay about like 13% tax here in Ontario. So I think the bag was around like 900 some dollars, and it was just an extra like 200-ish dollars or so after tax. That is a steal for what these bags are priced at now. I believe these bags are like almost $3,000 after tax, $2,900 something the last time I calculated. It blows my mind how much this bag has gone up in price since then. The fact that it's not even leather. So that's just first off what I want to mention. I know I did buy this in Canada, so the price markup is significantly different to what you would pay for in Europe, but I just want to flag that this bag has gone up a lot, and I don't necessarily think it's worth that price personally. Now the Goyard St. Louis tote in the GM, I just recently purchased this in Italy, and I think this was like just under $2,000 Canadian with the VAT back after conversion and everything. But I have heard that if you do purchase this here in North America, and I believe you can only get it in the States, they don't have any Goyard stores in Canada, this will run you almost $3,000 as well. So price wise in North America, they are roughly the same. Overall though, I think this does come in a little bit cheaper in Europe. I'm not 100% sure. So price wise, similar. I did get the larger one for the GM, which is why if you guys look at the price comparisons, this might be a little bit more expensive than this, what would be perceived as in Europe, just because this is the MM size and it's one step down. We're gonna talk about the size now. So when I originally purchased the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, I wanted this as a work bag. This was like one of my very first designer bags, and I was a working girly at that point. I was expecting myself to work like a 9 to 5, either in an office somewhere, or I was on track to go to med school. So I wanted a bag that was practical for me to go to work with every day and that I could use it outside of work life as well, which is why I thought this bag was phenomenal. I was carrying a laptop all the time at that point. I had like a 13 or a 15 inch, I can't remember which size anymore, and it fit comfortably in this bag, albeit it did kind of stretch the bag out sideways, but it fit my laptop, water bottle, lunch, wallet, and a couple of extra things if I was just like throwing stuff into the bag. So size wise, this fit everything that I wanted under the sun at that point in my life. Fast forward many years later, I do not work a 9 to 5. I work for myself. As you guys know, I'm a full-time content creator, but I do travel a lot, and we now do have a baby. So I wanted another bag, a big tote one that I could use, and I've always wanted one of these Goyard St. Louis ones, and I decided to let's go for the GM size. I tried on the MM and the GM both in store, and the MM was sizable. I think as like an everyday bag, it's much more reasonable to use because it doesn't look like it's too big on your body, at least for my height. I'm kind of on the petite side, but I am like 5'6", so I'm a little bit taller, and it just looked really big on me when I was wearing the GM as an everyday bag, and I knew that I was not going to be using this as an everyday bag. Like this bag, the intent and purchase behind purchasing it was not for an everyday bag. So when I tried the MM, it looked perfect, but I knew that I was going to regret that size, which is why I sized up. This one is massive. I actually use this as like a travel tote and as like a mom diaper bag. Now that Harrison's a little bit older, we have sized down in what we bring for him every day, so I don't necessarily think that this is like the right size for his diaper bag anymore, since we've already gone to a smaller size. But as an everyday travel bag for me, when I use this as like a carry-on to travel, or we go back and forth to Ottawa and road trips, I can fit like a whole weekend's worth of clothes into here with some makeup and accessories and toiletries, and I'm very happy with this. So size-wise, this fits my life so much more now because I am not using it intentionally as an everyday bag. This is supposed to be like a travel bag for me, and I love that. If you guys didn't watch the previous video where I shared everything that I purchased while I was in Italy, I did mention that this bag was originally designed to be a beach bag, so it's very much like a tote bag that will fit everything. And I can promise you, it does fit a towel in here. So if you want to use this as like just an everyday tote bag, it's a great one, albeit a little bit large. So I would recommend this more as like an everyday travel tote bag as opposed to like your work bag. Next, we're going to talk a little bit about the construction of the bag. So as I mentioned, the Louis Vuitton Neverfull is coated canvas on the exterior. It does have a lining. I have the old one, which is why it's so red. And there is leather on the handles and on the trim and on these little cinching in toggles on the side. I don't know what these are called in the industry. I'm just gonna call them cinching toggles. There's not a lot of leather on this bag. It's mostly canvas. Same with the Goyard. It's all canvas more or less. There's only leather on the trim and on the handles here. And there's no other details on this bag, such as the cinching in on the sides. I forgot to mention on the Neverfull, it also does have this little clasp on the top here for you to close your bag, and on the inside there is a zip pocket that is leather trimmed, and there's a little attachment here that you can sort of just attach, I guess, your key rings onto. I think this bag used to come with a separate pouch. I don't know what happened to my pouch, so unless at that time when I purchased it, the pouches weren't included in the purchase of this bag. But yes, in terms of leather, there's so much more leather work on the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. There is significantly less on the Goyard. I also forgot to mention there is some leather on this external pouch that is attached to the bag as well. So let's talk about all the additional attachments on the bag since they are very different. So as I mentioned, in the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, you have the cinching in on the two sides here to make the bag a little bit smaller if you need to. There is also the clip on the very top to fully enclose the bag if you would like. There is an external pocket. I'm just gonna empty this bag because I have something else in here that's just, it's a bag shaper to say the least. So I just wanted to take that out so you guys could see this a little bit easier. There's a zipper component on the inside here. It's like a little pocket you can put stuff in. And I have this little D-ring hook on the side that you can attach, I guess, your keys to if you want to. That is essentially it for the Neverfull. And then for Goyard, there is nothing on the sides to cinch it in. This bag is designed to be an open one. There is no other pockets as well. I'm gonna take the bag inserts out of both of these and show you what the internals look like so you guys can judge, and then we'll talk about the inserts afterwards. So on the inside, as you can see, this is actually an unlined piece. It's just leather on the inside, maybe a little bit more leather than LV would have since you have the interior piping all done with leather too. And then the only thing that they have that my Neverfull doesn't have is this little pouch. I know that the new Neverfulls do have an additional pouch that they sell with it now that's clipped onto the inside where that little D-ring is, but the Goyard one is actually attached to the strap here, and you cannot remove this. The pouch itself you can remove if you really want to. You can just take it right off this button here and take it off and just use it on your own as a little clutch or a wallet if you would like. But the actual strap that it attaches to is completely sewn onto the exterior handles, so you will never be able to remove this. That's just something I wanted to note if you're curious and you want to compare the two. So in terms of the overall interior of the bag, we're going to start out with the Neverfull. So the Neverfull has coated canvas on the exterior, and on the interior, I don't know if it's a second layer, but it is canvas as well, and it has a print on it. I have the old print, which is red, and it's quite a firm and very well structured bag. Both bags are sewn to be like the retorn style, where everything is sewn on the inside and it's like then flipped inside out, so all the stitching and seams are on the interior. You're not going to see any external seams out here. It's a very well structured bag, and the material is very thick, so it doesn't flop down when you just put it on its base. It kind of sits up like this. It has a very strong shape, and I think that you can put anything upright in it without it tipping over, disturbing the shape of the bag. You're not going to have indents on the exterior because of stuff that you stuff into here, because it holds its shape very, very well. It's very firm. The Goyard, on the other hand, seeing as it originally was designed to be a very simple beach bag, actually rather quite flimsy. So if I put it on my hand here, and even though this is a GM, so I don't want somebody to say like
it's a lot bigger, obviously it's gonna lose its shape.
The Neverfull, even as a GM, keeps its shape quite well. So if I put it onto my hand here, it stays up, but like, as you can see, it's a very pliable bag. It actually makes it really easy for me to flatten and to pack down to store into my luggage if I want to when I'm traveling. I can fold it down really easily and not really worry too much about it getting damaged, whereas the LV Neverfull is a lot harder to fold down. You definitely could, but after you start using it and it gains its rigidity and its shape and it's been opened up, you can't really pack it down anymore. So similar to the Longchamp Le Pliage bags, you can 100% fold down the Goyard. I don't think anybody ever recommends folding it in half this way like you do with your Longchamp bags, just because you may potentially induce some cracking in the canvas. So most people just fold it into threes like this and then pack it down flat in their bag if you plan on traveling with this bag. But I like that it's so flat, so if I ever do have the need to pack it down, I can. The Louis Vuitton Neverfull, it's not packable like I mentioned. It did come flattened originally. Like, I can flatten it, but because the canvas is so thick, I wouldn't recommend flattening it any more than this, or else you will start to introduce creasing into the canvas, and over time it's going to lose its shape. I think this bag is really well known for keeping its shape pretty well, and it's a quite firm bag. So we're going to chat a little bit about the security of both bags, because they are tote bags, and some tote bags are obviously better than others. Both of them have a wide open top. It is a tote bag after all. The Louis Vuitton Neverfull though does have this little clasp up here, which you can close just to give your bag a little bit more security. So if you have it standing upright, it's not going to topple over. That doesn't prevent anybody from putting their hands into your bag, though it's still a wide open bag at the top. It just gives it a little bit more of closure, so if you have things in it, it doesn't open and spill everywhere. The St. Louis from Goyard does not have a single closure in the top. It's just a giant tote bag. Like I said, it's supposed to be an easy grab and go beach bag, which is why they don't have anything to close this bag that's built into the bag. There is an additional accessory that you can purchase for this bag though that acts as a magnetic clasp on the top, and you kind of just like loop it around one of the straps, similar to the little detachable wallet here, and then it's attached by a lanyard, and you just kind of like close the bag on the top. I may purchase it in the future so that I can use it as additional security if I ever am traveling anywhere and I want to use this as a tote and not just as like a travel bag. But in the meantime, I don't have anything for that, and it just sits as a bag like this. And I did want to mention it's a huge hole, so just be careful about that. I think I've touched on all the general basics for the two bags. I am now going to mention a little bit about the inserts that I use for both of them. I bought this insert for my LV Neverfull like many years ago when I first purchased the bag, because I was more or less worried about the security of this and how open it was. So I have this nylon insert here that is actually really well structured and designed. I don't remember where I purchased it from for the life of me. I apologize. This was a long time ago before I discovered Samorga, and it's quite nice. It makes it easy for me to take things in and out of my bag. It has a zip on the top here so that I can close everything really easily and seal it. When I put it into the bag, it doesn't completely cover to the top of it. So if you are thinking of zipping things in, you are going to be losing a lot of vertical space. This is what the bag organizer looks like inside of the bag. You're losing about like 5 inches or so of space on the top that you could put things in. I think I would have preferred it if the zip went all the way across the top so that I could use all that extra space up here to still store stuff in and still have security. If you want to do something like just put your wallet in here or any other valuables and then zip it shut and then put things that you don't really mind as much on top, like, I don't know, groceries, a water bottle, then it definitely would do well. But the me now, knowing how much extra space I'm losing from that, I'd probably purchase a different bag organizer so I could use all that extra space functionally. I just recently acquired this bag organizer shaper from Samorga. You guys know how much I love Samorga. So I first got this one for the St. Louis. It is a giant hole, but because I like to use it sometimes as like a tote bag for when I go to events and stuff. Like yesterday, I just went to an all-day retreat with Avino, and I had to bring clothes and my wallet, a bunch of things, and I wanted to have pockets that I can organize my stuff with. I love this one because it has felt pockets. Well, the whole thing is constructed of felt. Not only is it going to help the bag keep its shape and let it stay upright when it's sitting on the ground, but I can organize stuff in here and not worry that my stuff is going to get lost in the giant abyss of a black hole. So this one, like I said, has pockets on the outside. There are 3 here. There are 2 bigger ones on this side, and I guess like this tiny one if you need to put like a pencil or a lipstick in. And then on the interior, the design is replicated. 2 panels here and a panel of 3 on this side. This one also comes with these little dividers that you kind of just insert into it if you would like. Has these 3 big holes, so if you want to further divide up the interior of the tote bag, it attaches via the Velcro paneling on either sides here. It's really easy to take on and off, so I am not concerned that if I ever really need to remove it to change up the variation of the bag and how it's divided, I can. So that is what the insert looks like. The base is really well structured, and I now have a ton of more compartments if I need to just organize way more stuff inside of the bag and not worry about it just like rolling around. This bag is so flimsy. I always have a hard time managing to maneuver stuff around inside of it, but I do love the bag and the purpose that it serves my current lifestyle. So this is it inside of the bag. As you can see, it's going to give the bag so much more organization. I can put things in and not worry about them rolling around. And when I put the bag down somewhere, it still kind of folds folds over where the organizer ends, you can see distinctly this is how high the organizer comes up in the bag. But the bag overall has way more shape now and I love it. There is no zip to this bag. So I got a second organizer that does have a zip in case I want a little bit more privacy, security, that sort of thing when I'm using the bag. This is another one also from Samorga. I love their stuff. This insert itself does not have as many pockets sewn into the sides, so you don't have as much when it comes to organization, but it serves a different purpose, and that it has a zipper. So you can fully close the top of this to keep your bag a little bit more secure. As you can see, it's covered. And if you don't want to have the zipper, you can totally remove it. So you can take it off via Velcro. The other organizer, I do wish that it had this Velcro component to add the zipper onto so that I could use all those organizational pockets and still be able to zip everything up. But I understand there's different capabilities with each organizer, and I think that one, because you're going to be putting so much stuff inside of it to organize it, you probably wouldn't necessarily be looking for something to zip it shut if you're going to be reaching for things all the time. Inside of this bag, there is one large pocket on the top here, so if you do want to organize some things, you can. And it also does have a Velcro panel on either side, and this one came with two of these shaped kind of things. So you're probably wondering, like, what the hell are you going to put in this? Probably a water bottle. You can put one on either side, or if you want, you can take that little Velcro organizer out from the other bag shaper and then stick it into here. I have tried. The two are not the same color, mind you, but you can interchange the interior and make it a lot more divided up if you'd like. And if I would want to, I could put this water bottle holder into that bag organizer just to make sure I have something to hold my water bottles upright. So I do have one in here right now already. It's Velcroed in on the side. So the bag organizer is now in. As you can see, it's going to provide my bag with so much more security because it is fully zipped up shut. However, when I do put it down, it does give it a little bit of structure, but similar to the other one, it shows where it ends, like right here. It still folds over. I do wish, because this one zips shut, it came up a little bit higher, possibly even like all the way to the top here, so that I could fully maximize the top of this space and really zip everything in this bag shut. I have yet to find a single bag organizer from any company that does come fully to the top to fully optimize the space that I'm using and to give the bag like full security. But in the meantime, this will do, and it gives so much more security to the bag than what the bag itself originally offers. If you are looking for a bag that can zip shut, then I would probably avoid any sort of open totes like this because none of them offer that capability and you're just not going to get the security that you're looking for. So let's talk a little bit of the utilitarian function and comfort of the bag. When I first bought this bag, I was at that stage in my life where I was like, you know what, I love designer bags. Let's buy my very first big girl bag and I'm going to love it to death. But the more I used it, the more I realized that this bag is not that great. When I'm saying this bag, I mean specifically the Neverfull and the Demier Ebene style. I don't know if the same can be said for the Demier Azur, but the leather that they use on the straps here are not comfortable at all. It is a very big drop, which makes it super easy for you to put over your shoulder like this. And when I had my laptop in here, there was still enough space between the end of my armpit and the top of where the bag hit that I could put a laptop that came up a little bit higher and didn't push into my armpit. So that's not something that I had a problem with. My problem was that these straps truly cut into my shoulder whenever I was wearing this bag, and I had it weighed down with anything heavy. So like a laptop, a water bottle. It's made of a very thick leather, which is durable. It's not going to snap or break anytime soon, but its edges were so sharp that it really pressed down on my shoulder blades and it hurt like a lot. This is not a soft leather. It is a very thick leather, and I think the overall bag construction is designed to be very thick and structured and firm, and that lends to it not being as pliable as I would like it to be. Now with the Goyard St. Louis, it's much softer of a leather. It does have the thick firm edges that you would see in the Neverfull, but for some reason, because it is a softer leather, when I put it on my shoulders, I can fully pack this bag and it does not hurt me to wear this at all. Even though that the bag is much larger and I can fit so much more inside, it doesn't hurt. It's very, very comfortable. I would definitely recommend against getting this bag if you plan on filling it, because the straps, oh my god, they're painful, and after a while I couldn't wear it. Even for a 1 hour commute to work, I just couldn't handle it anymore. So I actually ended up retiring this bag just because of how painful it was for me to use it all the time. And like, I don't think I've ever retired a bag due to pain. I've usually retired bags because it just wasn't serving my current personal tastes, or I just wanted to use something different, but never out of like pain. So that's something I would mention about this bag. I do believe that the other styles that use vachetta leather, such as the Monogram or even the Demier Azur one, is a little bit of a softer leather. So if you do want the Neverfull, then maybe go for those ones, because this one is not going to serve you well in terms of comfort if you're going to be packing the bag and making it really heavy. Similar to how structured and thick the leather is, I have over time noticed a lot of cracking along the edges here, and I looked it up online and a lot of people faced the similar dilemma. So where the bag kind of folds, there is a lot of cracking in the coating of the leather, and over time it started to lose some color as well. Like, you know, when you bend something way too much, it just starts to deteriorate, and I'm noticing a lot of that on the trim of the leather here. The handles also over time started to crack as it was like bending with like use. I don't think a bag that hasn't been used and abused by me should show that much deterioration and breakdown. It has only been used like heavily for maybe 2 years, and then after that it kind of sat in a box, which is why I'm going to be selling off this bag, because I just never touch it or reach for it. So I just don't like how this bag is held up, and for the price that you're paying, your bag should last you a really long time, which is also why I'm so confused as to why the bag is worth almost $3,000 now. Well, I don't think it's worth $3,000. They're selling it for $3,000. So that's why I just don't think this bag is the best in my opinion. If you guys love it, I'm sorry. This is just my opinion and how the bag held up for me. I also feel like a lot of these houses over time have like slowly deteriorated in terms of their quality. So because this bag is almost like 8 years old at this point, it should be constructed way better than the current new ones. And I don't know, I was very disappointed with how this bag wore, and in terms of like the pain and the cracking, it just doesn't seem like a great bag for me. Now, I haven't had the St. Louis bag for as long, but the leather is a lot softer and much more supple, so I know that over time it probably won't dry and crack as much. I'll have to come back eventually, like way down the road, to give you guys like a full review as to how this bag is serving me. At this point, I am truly loving it. I bring this with me everywhere I go. I honestly treat it as like my everyday throw around bag whenever I'm traveling somewhere, and I liked the purpose that it has served me. All in all, at the moment, this bag is serving me really well, and I've just enjoyed the fact that it doesn't cause me pain to use. It's not cracking anywhere. I don't love the fact that it's really flimsy, but I know that that was the intention and design behind this bag, so I can't fault it for that. And now that I do have the bag organizers, it's much sturdier and serves like more of my personal utilitarian and aesthetic functions. And I think overall, I just really love the bag. Size serves me really well too, because it's providing all the space that I need for the purpose that I'm looking for out of this bag. And I think I'm gonna get a lot of wear and use out of this bag in the long run. My personal overall opinions between these two bags is that I would probably prefer the Goyard St. Louis a little bit more than the Louis Vuitton Neverfull. I think my opinions of the Neverfull would probably change if I had a different bag with different leather, just because this one I purely don't like due to its strap. I think down the road, if I was to repurchase this bag after I sell it, I would probably go for the GM size, and I most likely would go for the monogram style, just so I could get a softer vachetta leather instead of this like really thick one that hurts me to wear overall. Do I feel like I need 2 totes though? Probably not. So I don't even know if I would repurchase this in the Neverfull GM size down the road if I was to sell this one. In the meantime, I think I'm pretty happy with the Goyard St. Louis. My only issue is that this one is quite more difficult to get a hold of than this one, because you can get this at any boutique, and there are boutiques all across the world for Louis Vuitton. Whereas for Goyard, they have very select retail locations, and they don't really ship internationally unless you have like a personal shopper that's going to be able to source it for you. So this one's definitely a lot harder to get a hold of, whereas this one is significantly easier. So there's a lot of aspects in play when it comes to deciding these two bags. My personal takeaway though is I think that this is a great investment for me, and I'm getting so much use out of it. I would personally recommend this way over this bag. So I think for you as a purchaser, the things that you would want to consider is, what intent are you purchasing this bag for? Are you going to be using it as an everyday bag or like a huge tote? If you want it as a huge tote, then I think the Goyard would be great. Another one is accessibility. Are you in a country, or will you be traveling to a country that has Goyard available? And if not, then maybe Louis Vuitton would be the better option for you, because it's much more accessible and readily available across the world. And then the third would be the overall like visual factor of the bag. Are you looking for the monogram or the demi-argent, or do you want the ébène? If you really want the ébène and you're willing to sacrifice how it's going to sit on your shoulder, then you can get it. Whereas for the Goyard ones, every color uses more or less the same soft leather, so it's not going to really affect overall how it feels on your shoulder depending on which color you get. And then the last thing that I did want to mention is just the overall durability and like the shape of the bag. The Goyard one is very flimsy, and if you're looking for a very rigid bag, then you're going to need a bag organizer or shaper to keep it structured. Whereas the Louis Vuitton Neverfull, if you are going to want something that's really firm, it's going to give you that structure without having to add a bag organizer. They both would be great with the bag organizer down the road, just because they are huge totes, and I think that any tote needs some sort of organization inside. Like, that's just my personal preference, but you don't really need them to use either bag, so it just depends how you like the bag to look, whether it's structured or flimsy. Cost-wise between the two, if you're buying them internationally, pretty similar. If you're also buying them here, pretty similar as well. It seems like Louis Vuitton is fairly trying to push the price of the Neverfull up a lot in the course of the past 3 years to match the price of Goyard. I don't really see much of a shift between the two prices here. I just think personally the Goyard serves me a lot more than my Louis Vuitton Neverfull does. And the one other thing I do want to mention that was strange about Goyard is that they have two shades in this black print. One comes with this brown leather trim and the other one comes with the black leather trim. Those two are their standard classic colors, and then they have a whole other range of other shades like white, yellow, red, blue, green, purple, like a bunch of primary colors, and a lot of other options that the Louis Vuitton Neverfull doesn't really offer, although I know that the Louis Vuitton Neverfull does come in like seasonal and special edition different options. There is like very limited designs when it comes to Goyard, and they always have the same print but just in different colors. So the weird thing is originally that the classic between the brown and the black was one fixed price, and then they had special colors, which was everything else, like the white, red, blue, green, yellow, the ones that I mentioned. Those are considered special colors and they were more expensive. From what I've heard through the grapevine, because this change has taken effect since I last purchased this bag, and I purchased this back in like June, so it was very recent, is that they were actually increasing the price of the two classics to be the exact same price as the special colors to harmonize the price across the board. So now all of the St. Louis totes are in the exact same price range. So if you were pressed and didn't want to get a colored one because it was more expensive, doesn't really matter, they're all the same price now. This one does come in different sizes though. I believe it comes in like one slightly larger size, and then it comes in like the MM. I don't think it comes in an SM. I can't exactly remember. Whereas the Neverfull comes in also a GM and an MM. I can't remember the different sizes too, but you can go into store for both of them and try them on and see how they fit your frame and which one you prefer depending on what purpose you're going to be using the bags for. If you do want a more structured version of this, you definitely can. They have a double lined one which has leather on the interior and the exterior. It definitely is a little bit more expensive. From what I heard, you can reverse it so that you can have a full solid color interior and then flip it on the inside to have a full solid color exterior. I don't think I would ever really do that because I think that breaks down the bag a lot more and ruins the integrity of the shape. So I'm very happy sticking to this one. I'm also really happy because a sales associate at Goyard advised me against getting that one just because he said that like,
what is the purpose of having a leather interior bag that's double lined? It's just gonna get ruined if you put things into it, and it's a waste of your money if you have zero intentions of flipping it inside out.
So he actually advised me towards getting this one, which is cheaper, and I'm pretty happy with his honesty. So I just really enjoyed my experience shopping at Goyard. All in all, both bags are great. They hold a lot. It just ultimately comes down to your personal preference and how you plan on using the bags. There's neutral colors for both. There's fun bright colors for both as well. So there's lots of options for everybody out there. But I hope that you found this video helpful and informative if you're hemming and hawing between the two and you really need some, I guess, like chit chat, sit down time to really determine which one you think is a better investment, because I know they both are expensive bags and not everybody can afford to have both. So if you were to choose one, hopefully this helps you to make your final decision. As always, thank you guys so much for coming back and watching my videos. I hope you guys found this video helpful and interesting and insightful and informative. Let me know if you have either bag down in the comments down below and which style you have, and if you have a preference between the two, or if you just like both, or you just think tote bags are hideous in general. I would love to know your thoughts on this topic. If you guys want to see more of me, you know where to find me on Instagram and TikTok. And of course, if you guys are not already subscribed to me in here, make sure you do. That way you don't miss a single video and that it goes right into your sub box. Otherwise, I hope you guys have an amazing day. I'll see you in the next one. Bye!